today I wanted to talk to you about intuition and how I stay in touch with my intuition. My intuition today told me to enjoy a cup of coffee while filming this video, so that's what I'm doing. Regardless of your belief system, you can see intuition as accessing a part of your brain that helps you make decisions. I like to see it as a connection to your higher self, the energy and presence within you that knows what it wants out of life, knows how it wants you to grow and expand and develop. I feel like my intuition is my higher self communicating those guideposts to me. One way that I get in touch with my intuition is to take stock of what I'm doing right now. Oh my God. This is especially helpful if I feel like my intuition is a stranger, which can certainly happen if I get too absorbed into the everyday stuff of life, almost like lost in the earthly realm, if I dare say. You could also basically describe that feeling as just feeling lost or feeling really busy and overwhelmed. When we are busy, there isn't a lot of time to sit down and reflect or to have quiet moments where, you know, you may get that spark of intuition. Although being busy doesn't necessarily mean you're out of touch with your intuition, because you could be busy doing things that are following your intuition. So that's another story. When you stop and take stock of what you're doing, it's almost like, I've heard a really good explanation of it, where you essentially act as if you were an alien entity or some strange force looking down at yourself from a third person perspective. You'd almost be like, what is this person named Susanna, or, you know, insert your name there, doing right now? Which you could also just stop and be like, what am I doing right now? But that could be charged with a lot of defensive rationales or arguments. And if you kind of imagine this different way of looking at it, you could literally narrate your life in that moment and say, Susanna is sitting here and filming a video. And that can just kind of snap you out of the realm you're in of just go, 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 or getting things done, or being too absorbed in, I'm going to say it again, like the earthly realm. So the purpose of taking stock of what you're doing in this moment, as if you were a third person observer, is basically to dispel any illusions as to what you're doing and why. If I'm sitting on the couch watching TV and eating something that isn't good for me, then in that third person moment, I might realize what I'm doing and uncover why. Whereas if I'm automatically doing that and not thinking about it and not snapping out of it, I'm just doing it and I'm soothing whatever I need to be soothing. You know, my intuition would be saying something like, Suze, I know you're not feeling good about this situation right now. Why don't we sit down in a meditation and then do some journaling to figure out what's going on and what you can do about it? Whereas the kind of earthly voice is like, Suze, just watch 5 episodes of this show, eat as much of this food as you want, it doesn't matter, this is what feels good right now. So stopping and taking stock of the moment is almost like breaking the spell and allowing your intuition to have an access point to you. An even more powerful and productive step is meditating. Often for me, when I meditate, depending on what's going on in my life, sometimes there's emotions that might arise, or I might get insights as to what I need to do about certain things. There's times where I'm planning my dinner, and then there are times where I can be aware of my thoughts and let them pass by and feel a deeper part of me that isn't lost in thought and isn't, you know, riding along that highway of chatter, but is sort of floating above that. And that presence feels really good. That's my higher self. That's my true self, you know, my higher energy, whatever you want to describe it as. The amazing thing is that in meditation, if I do have runaway thoughts, often, like I said, those thoughts might be my intuition talking. It might take me through some ideas and solutions that I hadn't, you know, thought of before when I'm just going through my life. Almost every time I meditate, I take out a journal and I start writing. And that's the next step. Journaling, whether you're typing it out on a Word doc or writing it out on a piece of paper, it can help you hone in on some lessons or insights you got in that meditation. It doesn't have to be just after you've meditated, but after you've had an experience of some kind that's been distressing or even joyful. It can be really, really helpful for sorting out those feelings and getting the muck out of the way before you can actually hear what that true voice inside you is saying about that situation, whether it's just that you're intensely hurt and you need to soothe yourself right now, or whether you've been triggered by something and you got really defensive. It can help you a lot with that kind of self-awareness. The other way that I connect to my intuition is something that I talked a little bit about in my video about self-love. And essentially it's just asking yourself a question and seeing what the instant answer is. I'm gonna run with this for a second, but if your intuition is your higher self and your higher self exists in a realm that isn't bound by time, then you already know everything there is to know, and there's no waiting period to get an answer. So essentially any question you have that you ask, you get an instant response because everything's already known. And your brain is kind of secondary to that. So when I ask myself a question, this instant feeling or thought that I have is my intuition answering. The thoughts that come after that are my brain or my logic or my ego sharing its answer to that question that may or may not be the right answer for me at the time. Another way that you can access this is by using something called a pendulum. You can ask it a yes and then a no question to get a sense of which way it's gonna, swing for a yes and for a no, and then you ask your question. And whether you believe in that or not, it's sort of like pulling oracle cards for yourself when you're in doubt about something. It can act as a tool of confirmation. It can confirm something your intuition is trying to tell you, something you already know deep down. So if I need that extra help or that physical confirmation of what I'm looking for, that's when I might reach for a pendulum or pulling a card. And then a final way that I not only access my intuition but stay in touch with my intuition is to actually act on what it tells me. I spend so much of my time hearing my intuition and ignoring it that eventually I think it gets quieter and I get into those phases where I feel lost again or disconnected from it. Whereas if I'm listening to it and answering it like an instructional guide, doing the things it's telling me to do, I hear it get louder, I get more inspiration to take more actions. I find that the actions I take feel in line with who I truly am, what my gifts are, what I have to offer the world, the ways I want to express myself that are fruitful, that actually bring something back to me, whether that's in the form of joy or success or just a feeling of bliss and achievement, attainment of what your soul desires, how to make yourself happy. And making yourself happy is, in my opinion, our purpose here. If we make ourselves happy, we can make others happy. And at the bottom of everything of our existence is love. If we pursue our purpose, and our purpose is to find, create, connect with love, then in the end, the acts that you take based on your intuition and your guidance, they're going to lead to a place of love. Even if the roadway to that is challenging. It's not like I'll take an action based on my intuition and it'll lead to immediate success or joy. It could be a rocky road. It could lead to some pain. It could lead to some hardship, but often that hardship is needed for me to get to that place of joy or love because there's lessons that I needed to learn. So I hope that some of that was inspiring to you and got you thinking about your intuition, how you connect with that, where you think that's coming from. I'm really happy to be able to share this stuff with you. If you want to connect with me, you can follow me on Instagram at Sue's Bubs. Thank you so much for watching, and say hello to Luca. I'll see you next time.